Hello, everybody, and welcome to Outside the Box, the podcast devoted to supporting Central PA small business. And you can see beside me, Tammy of Vast Strategies is with us. I'm your host, Derek Bixler, realtor and digital marketing geek right here in Central PA. I grew up on the hill in Harrisburg, went to Mechanicsburg High School, go Wildcats, and then went up to Penn College of Technology in Williamsport. After I came back, I had a few sales jobs before I started selling real estate 15 glorious years ago. If you need to buy or sell a home, please reach out to me, text me, email me, throw a rock through my window, send a carrier pigeon, whatever you need to do. Find me. We really need inventory still. It has died down a little bit, but if you need to sell, still a great time to sell. And if you need to buy, not quite as crazy as it used to be. So get a hold of me if you need to do that. If you want to subscribe to our email, go to supportcentralpa.com to get networking, mixer updates and invites, episode announcements, and exclusive special offers, of which you will have one from Tammy and Vast Strategies at the end, which we will tell you about. A reminder to ask a question in the comments if you have any questions, or if you know one of us, just say hi. If we don't see it during the episode, we will come back later and address it and answer your questions. And a reminder that replays are on YouTube, Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, all the places you might like to listen to or watch your content, and soon on iTunes and all those things. Maybe, Tammy, we should talk about, maybe you have somebody that can do this for really cheap, or I could find somebody in the group. We need to get it on iTunes and the audio thing, but there's like 100 episodes that need to be uploaded and all the descriptions copied and pasted over and everything. So maybe I'll talk to you about some ideas for that, or maybe you know some good VAs or something. So a reminder to all the place, the episodes will be everywhere. So without further ado, I'll bring in Tammy, Vast Strategies, and I'll let you take it away with a little bit of your background. Your bio said you grew up in Susquehanna, and we know each other a little bit. You grew up in Susquehanna, and you were rapping for me before the show. So we'll bring that in at some point. But just begin by telling us a little bit about where you grew up and
yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, thanks everyone for joining us today, and thank you, Derek, for having me. I appreciate it, and I appreciate you doing this for all the businesses in Central PA. My name's Tammy Vasbinder, formerly Tammy Tibbins, and I grew up in Harrisburg, right off of 6th Street. So if you're going down Lingelstown Road, hang a left. My aunt and uncles lived on 6th Street. My pap and my mom and dad, like the whole 6th Street block from like Lingelstown Road up to Cisco's, Cisco's, that area, Allen's Market, was all Tibbins families. So I loved my childhood growing up. Grew up a tomboy. I rode motorcycle, played basketball, played softball. At Susquehanna Township, it was such a diverse school. So I was either going to house parties or bat mitzvahs pretty much. And I think that's kind of where I learned how to rap. It was just a lot of fun. I loved it, Susquehanna.
So 6th Street, is that down by like the radio stations and like down by there? Am I picturing the right?
If you're going down Lingelstown Road and you're going towards the Susquehanna River, there's like a McDonald's and there's an old church there called the Rockville Church. If you hang a left, that's 6th Street. So I grew up the 4th house on the left, my pap the 6th house on the left, and then all my aunts and uncles were up the street.
One of those is for sale. I was just in one of those. I have somebody who's his fiance lives like right around there.
Oh, cool. What if it was my house? That would be kind of interesting.
You should look, drive past there, see if you know it. What was the whole block, you said?
Yeah, pretty much. And then my grandfather started a motorcycle and Honda shop and a boat shop for my uncle when he was at war. And that's right behind Stabler Field area. And then it turns out my pap's house is now called Ray's Place. My friend Erin, who used to be my roommate, she reached out to me and she's like, look what they did with Pap's old garage. So that's right on 6th Street too. And it's a place where people can read and educate their children. So it's pretty cool.
Huh. They should rename the street in your honor or put a little
thing
on it,
cool.
or a history plaque or something. So that sounded cool. So your uncle while your uncle was at war, what war was that?
Oh, that must have been the Vietnam War.
Okay.
And my pap started a business for him. It was called Ray's Sporting Goods. I actually have an article of pap with all the boats outside because he had a boat shop and a motorcycle shop. And the reporter asked pap, why do you keep your inventory outside? Why don't you build a warehouse? And he's like, I don't need to build a warehouse. He's just sitting on the porch with his gun. I know that's like not cool now, but I just thought it was funny because he's like, I'll protect it, like sitting on his porch. But he had all the boats.
I dare somebody to come try to take it.
Yeah, I dare you to take my boats.
Plus, it takes a lot of effort to take a boat. You got to plan and execute, and nobody's stealing a boat.
Exactly. I'm sure somebody would see it. That's my boat.
You need a title for a boat too, right?
Yeah, right.
At least for certain ones, I think you do. So Ray's Sporting Goods, how did he, so this is your that was your uncle. So that was your great grandfather?
Well, no, my grandfather started it for my uncle. My uncle ran it. My mom did the books. My dad was the manager.
Gotcha.
Yeah. And then my uncle moved down to Florida and my dad ended up selling the business and getting into something else, but it was cool. I remember when I was Christmas, I think it was 1983, my aunts got me all these Barbie dolls and I was so upset because I didn't play with Barbies. Like I wanted He-Man and Castle Grayskull type toys. And I remember my dad telling me to take the trash out and I'm kind of grumpy going out to the trash. And there's this chrome Mini 50 motorcycle with a bow on it. And back then across from Lincolnstown Road, there was all these like riding trails and I just rode my motorcycle like all the time. I loved it.
That's
so that
awesome.
was one of my favorite gifts ever.
Do you think the sporting goods store got you into being a tomboy, so to speak? Which there should be I'm sure there is a new term for that, or maybe that's still okay to say that, or I don't know.
Yeah.
But do you think the sporting goods and being around all that stuff kind of led you to being a tomboy?
Actually, I think this sounds a little odd, but my mom was pregnant with twins and one was Tommy. So I kind of wonder if maybe I got some of Tommy's characteristics or something, you know? But I always was interested in, you know, I played football with the guys instead of cheerleading. I went out for basketball, like always interested more in the getting dirty than wearing dresses and that kind of frilly stuff, you know?
I can go along with that. My daughter also doesn't like pink and kind of shies away from anything purple or glittery, which I'm glad. I mean, if she likes it, that's fine too. But she also is the same way. You said you had twins. So your brother and sister? Is it twins?
Well, no, I was a twin, but
were a twin.
Tommy didn't make it. So I just wonder if maybe, you know, maybe I have some of Tommy inside of me. I don't know.
Yeah, totally. I mean, even if not literally, that could have been in your head the whole time. And it just kind of, in that sense, does lead you to that and have some of him in you. That's kind of awesome. So you can carry that forward. So did you say you played sports or anything at Susquehanna? Yep.
Played basketball, softball, loved it. I would love to play basketball again, like get a girls team going, but there's not a lot of girls that play. There's a lot of women that play softball, but not basketball for some reason. But I absolutely loved it. My friend Laura Mummert and I both started varsity as freshmen, like the starting five for basketball and softball. And
what position?
Softball, I played center field, and then our catcher got hurt. And I was about 40 pounds lighter, and I was like, I want to catch because it was fast pitch, and I liked being in the action. So they allowed me to give it a shot, and I loved it. I loved first and third situations, somebody trying to steal on you, just zipping that ball down to second base. So
I was just going to say I would rather hear about the basketball because softball bores me, but being a catcher or a pitcher or maybe first base, somebody that gets a lot of action, or at least the catcher, you're always doing something the entire time.
Yeah, you're always in it. You're always in it. Yeah.
So what position in basketball?
I played just forward position. I was always the one to sneak out and get the steal and chase, you know, go for the layup. But typically, like in my 20s, 30s, I was playing with all guys because that's all who plays, you know. But then when COVID hit, they kind of shut that down. So I'm hoping that starts opening back up again.
So how tall are you? Are you taller than our average?
I'm not super tall. I'm like 5. I was 5'7". I think I shrunk a quarter of an inch, so I'm 5'6"3/4.
I was just looking at my 9th grade little basketball like playing card that you could get when you got the pictures or whatever, and it said I was 5'10", but I'm 6 foot. I always tell people I'm 6 foot, and even at the doctor, it goes like 5'11" and a half, 6 foot, whatever. They don't take any time to really do it well, but I wonder did I actually grow? Because I don't remember, and we always inflated it on our roster. I remember whatever yours actually was. If you were 6 foot, we would tell them 6'1" or 6'2" or something, so it looked more imposing to the other team.
That's funny.
Yeah. So when you were in their 20s playing, where'd you play then? Like LA
I played
Fitness or something?
Do you remember the gym Woody's? I used to play at Woody's. And then I
probably played with you. I was at Woody's from the start till the demise.
And then there was a West Shore Health gym that was right off the Carlisle Pike where guys would run all the time, and I would run there with them all the time. And then CLA had a league where women were actually running, and I actually called the church to see if they're still doing it, but they're not. But my church, a bunch of guys play at Messiah, and I was reaching out to my pastor. I'm like, hey, do you mind if a girl plays? He's like, no, you're more than welcome. And I was texting him right before COVID hit, because he's like, hey, we're playing. And I remember like lacing my sneaks up and stretching and like practicing the week before on my layups and stuff and my dribbling. And then he's like, yeah, we're not playing. I'm like, okay, let me know when it opens up again. And then like now it's a year and a half later and they're still not playing.
Yeah, I'm sure you can still ball, but definitely stretch. I stretch like crazy. Anything I do now, the older I get, I'm like, I can still do it, but I better stretch and warm up and get into it, and then you can go all out. But the church has a team and they play at Messiah. Who is this?
Well, it's not a team, it's like pickup. So some people from our church go. I'd imagine other men go.
What church?
From all over. Celebration Community Church right in Dillsburg.
Okay, so somebody knows his alumni, or because you got to have a pass to get into that gym.
I don't know, but I got the invite and I was stoked. And I even tried to recruit a fellow church member that's a girl to play so we could guard each other. Because sometimes dudes get really uncomfortable when you try to box them out, or they don't want to guard you. Like they're afraid they're going to hurt you. And it's like, I'm here to play. Like
or even worse, get beat by you, which that's probably not a politically correct thing to say either. But I don't want to get beat by anybody, frankly.
Yeah, but then to have a chick come on and she schools you on the court, your buddies are going to make fun of you. It's all right.
Get your ankles broken by Tammy.
I play co-ed softball, and the guys, if we don't play the team, the guys always move up, and my heart is like racing because I'm like, yeah, keep moving up, and I'll even stand like I don't know how to bat, and I just rock it. They're so mad. They're like, that's not nice. I didn't tell them to move up though, but I actually had opportunity to play college ball for softball. And kind of squandered that opportunity. I went to Ocean City for senior week and fell in love, and I didn't come home. So I really messed that up. But you know what? I wouldn't have met my husband. I wouldn't, sometimes life takes a turn and you make the best out of it. But
all right, well, we got to unpack that a little bit because I've been to senior week multiple years, 3 or 4 maybe. So you went to your actual senior year. You went to senior week. Where was it? Was it Ocean City, Maryland, or somewhere else?
Yeah, it was Ocean City, Maryland.
Okay. And how did you tell us the story? How did you end up staying there?
Well, I met a guy from Central Dauphin. We fell in love really quickly. Came back after senior week. He's calling. This was before cell phones, so he's paging me. He's paging me. I call him back, and he's like, "You got to come down for the summer," So I was like, okay. So I came down, got a job as a waitress down in Ocean City, and just ended up staying down there. And just, it was young love, really foolish of me. But when that relationship did not work out, and moved back to Harrisburg then, and I went to school at HACC for theater. So I was in plays and studied theater. My goal was to actually go to college and be an actress. I wanted to be on SNL. And thought about going to New York. I was super excited about it. And then
have you ever gone to see a show? Sorry, I got to interrupt because it's on I love that show. I've seen every episode 8,000 times. Too. My closet dream would be if you asked me any other job, I should ask that as a question here. If you had any other profession, what could you do? That'd be up there for me. Like an outdoor photographer, because they seem to get to go everywhere. And then SNL. Yeah,
SNL would be awesome. I actually took some improv courses at Harrisburg Improv Theater. And instead of doing live, we would do sketch to video. So I'll have to send you some videos that we have out there. That's kind of how SNL does it. Like they'll do an improv sketch. They take the funniest pieces they have, and that's what they have to work with.
That's awesome. So let's give that a plug, and then I got something else to ask you first.
Yeah,
so what'd you say? The Harrisburg Improv? I've heard about this place before. Is it good? Is it still in existence?
It's wonderful. Jacob and Summers Compton run it. Just wonderful people. Everybody there is like family. We're doing like teenage classes, children's classes, adult classes. I did all the classes they had. I just loved it. So when I was a stay-at-home mom with my boys, I said to my husband, I want to pursue this acting. I really want to get back into that. So while I was raising my kids, I was doing local plays. I did some film, House of Cards. I was on a show called For My Man. Like, you know, those reenactments where these women are all crazy? That was me. So, and they don't give you a script. They're like, all right, fight with your husband right now. And it's so great because it's like improv. I'm like, you're never home for dinner. You suck.
Wait, these were actual productions?
Yeah. There's a show called For My Man, and it's women that do anything for their men. And I played a mom whose daughter was with the wrong guy and ended up going to jail. So I reenacted, you know, that scene. But it was really cool because the film company goes to Frederick, Maryland, and they hire, they go to people and they say, hey, Derek, can I use your apartment for the weekend? And they pay you to use the apartment. So there's all kinds of film going on right in Frederick, which is only like an hour south of here. So you don't get paid a lot of money though, but it's fun. It definitely
show
wasn't
business,
a career.
You don't get paid anything until you got to pay a lot of dues in show business, I suppose.
Yeah, I did. I started getting some responses from like Marvelous Miss Maisel to audition for things. But here's the deal. They send you a text or an email at like 11 o'clock at night, and they're like, Tammy, you'd be perfect for this. Come audition at like 6 a.m. tomorrow in the Bronx. It's like, okay, I'm in Boiling Springs, Pennsylvania. How am I going to get to the Bronx by 6 a.m.? You know, and
hop in that ride.
Yeah, right. I think if I would have pursued it when I was 20, before I had kids and responsibilities, in another lifetime,
you still have time. You can always do it later, and
yeah, absolutely.
Or you can still you still get like opportunities sent to you, or is it still on your radar at all?
There's all kinds of websites you can go on, and they're free. Like Backstage is free. There's all kinds of websites that you can go on and create a profile, and then you can search different areas. But there's a lot of auditioning. You know, sometimes you can do a self-tape and send it in, but it's always better if you meet with the casting directors. So for me and my stage of life with my kids and stuff, it's just hard. And then starting Vast Strategies. If I didn't start Vast Strategies, I probably could pursue it a lot more. But it's like, if I got that break in New York or LA, would I take it? Probably not. My husband's from Punxsutawney. I don't see him living in the city of New York. You know what I mean?
I did put that in the bio. Yeah. Groundhog, king of Pennsylvania. Yeah, well, I mean, you could always, if it's on your radar and something comes up where you're like, I got it, you could always just say, screw it. I'm going to drive and make a cool, fun, spontaneous thing out of it. I'm just going to go.
Yeah.
And then at least you could have dinner in like New York. Are these always in New York City or something?
Yeah. Well, there's actually a lot of stuff in Philadelphia. There's stuff in Baltimore. Like House of Cards was really big in Baltimore until Kevin Spacey got into his trouble. But there's a lot of stuff down there, and there's a lot of, you get paid good money for commercials too. You know, so I remember auditioning for what was it, Purdue Chicken. And I did a chicken impression because I do a really scary chicken impression, and the casting director.
You can't say that and not do it. I'll give you mine.
It's really weird.
This is great. We got 7 people watching. They're gonna get a nice little show.
You're probably like, this is ridiculous.
Here's my chicken.
Oh, see, mine. If you put your hand out, I'm like. I did that to a vice president at Super Value, and I actually got called to HR for scaring him. But I did this chicken impression at the end, and it did not go over well. She was like, no, just no, like, get out.
How about a cow?
Yeah.
You want a different animal? You want something else? All right. Well, before we move on this is where you build up the guts that you have to perform and do all these things and you put in your bio that you're a rapper, and you rapped a little bit before we got on. So we for these 5 people, we scared off 2 of those people that were watching.
They just dropped off when we did the chicken.
So give us a little bit of your original material, that bar you hooked me up with before we got on.
So I wrote this when my kids were younger. It's just a little piece of it. A days of craze with poopy diapers and bad hair days, giggles and laughs. Oh, snap, I forgot the crafts. I still got that swagger, even though I'm a bit fatter. Hey, get your hands out my cookie batter.
Fee. Nice. Nice. That's good. Who
So,
was your favorite artist? We were talking a little bit. Who was your favorite artist back in the day, say in like high school or whenever you were?
oh man, I really liked the old stuff like Slick Rick the Ruler. Not sure if you listen to him, and MC Ricky D.
Definitely can't recite any of those lyrics on here.
Yeah, but and Biggie, I liked Biggie a lot. So kind of like the 90s hip hop. We talked a little bit about Tribe Called Quest. We listened to them a lot. Mobb Deep, that type of stuff. How about you?
Now you're speaking my language. Tribe Called Quest. I liked Outkast a lot. That was a little bit newer. Mobb Deep. If you're going way back, or not way back, but I mean Far Side. Let's not do that.
Oh, I remember Far Side and Nas. You remember Nas?
Oh, Nas for sure. He's big into cryptocurrency now. He's like big investor in Coinbase or something.
Oh, okay.
He has new albums too, but yeah,
nice.
He's pretty good.
Yeah.
What was I gonna say? I forget. Oh, before we move on to talking about what we're supposed to be talking about, have you ever seen SNL live? That's on my bucket list to camp out and get in. No, I would like to.
Yeah, I never have. That would be awesome though. That would be absolutely awesome.
Well, if you ever do, tell me so I have somebody to camp out with.
Yeah, absolutely.
My daughter can get in yet, so that would be fun.
That would be fun. Absolutely.
Yeah, I would camp out for days for that. That would be easy. People act like it would be hard. So let's get to our topic. We're talking about the digital marketing and the whole shebang, and looking at the whole picture. And you can tell us a little bit about the abridged version of what you guys do, and at the end we'll tell a little bit more about your services. But tell everybody a little bit about what you do, and then we can talk about the whole picture, because we've had somebody that kind of does lead funnels, which is kind of a specific thing for service businesses, and I've had website people on, and I've had branding or social media people on, and you kind of cover all the bases. So we're gonna kind of step back a little bit from those things and say everybody needs to look at the whole thing and get everything in order and look at the whole picture. So tell everybody, like I said, a little bit about you guys in general, a bridge version. And then we'll get into it.
Absolutely. So my background is the grocery business, print, and then radio. And I was in radio for about 10 years. And when I sold radio, before a client would advertise on the radio, I would go on their website. If their website was outdated or not user-friendly, because your website is your silent salesperson. It's working for you 24/7. And if people nowadays, especially, this was back in early 2000, but nowadays they go to your site, and if they don't like it, they bounce. Or if you don't have good Google reviews or good reputation, they don't choose you. So back then I would say, hey, Derek, I appreciate you wanted to advertise with me on the radio, but before you do, here's some things you need to get done first. You need to update your logo, you need to get your website updated, you need to get your headshots updated, and your product photography. And then I would give them referrals of who to contact. Like, this is a higher end photographer, this is one that might be more in your budget. You want quality photos, same with website. And a lot of times these people would come back to me, these business owners, and they're like, Tam, you're giving me so much business. Why don't you come work for me? But I was enjoying my time at Clear Channel. I was making good money. So I kind of was doing Vast Strategies back in 2000. I just wasn't getting paid for it. So after I had my kids, I stayed at home with my kids for 10 years. And then when my son went into first grade, I said to my husband, I want to get back to work. I can only cook and clean so much. I want to get back into it. I started interviewing with different marketing firms, but some of the marketing firms only sold marketing, or some of the website firms only sold website. And I wanted to do everything, but I don't have the talent to do it all. So I'm like, well, I need to find the talent. So reached out to colleagues, professionals, and slowly started building my team. So when I meet with a client, I do a full diagnostic. I ask a ton of questions to get to learn what their goals are, what their business is. I do a lot of research on the back end to see if they have a good website, look at their branding, that type of thing. But every client I meet with has a different need, whether it be sales training or web design or branding or marketing, or you talked about sales funnels and digital advertising. So it really depends where they're at, So we have so many different services, and it really depends on the consultation, what I recommend, and also the budget. They might come to me and say, Tammy, I want to spend $2,000 a month in digital advertising so I can increase, and I'm like, well, hold up a second. How's your sales process? Oh, we don't have a sales team, or I don't really know much about sales, but if the people come, well, you don't want to spend thousands of dollars in marketing if your sales process is bad. So instead of investing the $2,000 there, you may want to invest it in sales, and then you're going to have a higher ROI.
Yeah, totally. I can get you clicks all day long pretty easily. That's not a very hard thing to do, frankly. It's what happens after the click if your landing page sucks, or once they click and they give information and nobody calls them or reaches out to them for a week or ever, or you watch it happen and it's just not good, then it doesn't do much. Are there other qualifying questions other than budget when you're meeting with somebody for the first time? What are some of the other main questions that you ask people and that people should be asking themselves?
I like to ask what their goals are, what their daily, short-term, long-term goals are, how close they are to achieving the goals, what kind of branding, marketing, sales training have they done, how has it worked, what they liked, what they didn't like. I'm big on results, so I really want to know what the goals are, though. That's really important, because if you say to me, hey, Tammy, I need to sell X amount of houses by this date, that gives me a goal to strive for. So when I put together your campaign and we meet again in a month or two, I can say, Derek, how is it going? And as you know, with digital strategies, you can actually track sales. You put the Google Analytics on the back of the website and you can see, yes, this actually came from the campaign. So that's what I like. Back when I sold radio, you couldn't really track it. Now I'm sure it's different these days. Back when I sold it, it was like, are your numbers up this year compared to last? Or do you want to give a special phone number? Or, can we only offer it on radio and not anywhere else? But you want that consistency too. So
yeah, the trackability of digital. Yeah, it's the trackability is nutso with digital marketing. It's probably better with radio, I would assume. And some of the things I say to people, well, you can't change. Well, billboards are harder to change, but I think radio ads now you can change them really somewhat quick if you see something's not responding.
Yeah,
because they've realized that digital marketing and Facebook, I can go in there and set up 20 ads with different creatives and test them all and see which one's the best and use it a lot better than they can. But they're kind of catching up with it a little bit, I guess. You mentioned you ask people what worked and what hasn't worked. Unpack that a little bit. When I meet with people, sometimes you might learn that what you've been doing is working and we shouldn't change it. We should throw fuel on this fire, or they think it worked and it didn't work, or unpack that a little bit, that question of what has worked and what doesn't work and how that guides you in helping them.
Yeah, I like to dig a little bit deeper too, because I'm actually getting a lot of referrals from people out of market. So I met with somebody in Portland, Oregon, and she said she tried Google ads and a Facebook strategy and it didn't work. And I said, how much did you invest? And she told me, and then I said, would you mind sharing the creative with me, the ad? She didn't have it with her, so I'm waiting to get that ad back. But a lot of times if your message isn't good, it may not work very well. So, and if you're running that same message over and over again, you're not updating the creative to do that A/B testing, maybe that's why it didn't work, So once I find out what's working, what didn't, I dig a little deeper to find out what was the campaign, what was the message, what was the call to action that you gave to the client.
And a lot of times, maybe it was working in just their idea of what is working. They spend $1 and I get 20 calls and you're like, whoa, it's a gold mine. That's not how it works. You have to, the very first ad isn't going to be a gold mine. You're probably going to spend a bunch to figure it out and test it and all that, especially if you're hobbling it together yourself and not going to a professional to do it. So how do you, in that case, you're going to look, you said you didn't get that creative yet. Are you going to kind of pick that apart, or would you just start from scratch, or how are you going to handle that particular client?
Yeah, this particular client, I may even pull in somebody that does public relations, because there's a difference between paid media and earned media. With public relations, we can tell your story and get that out to 400 different media outlets in Oregon for her. And if the press likes the story, all that media is free, but you have to have the right story. You can't do that for just anybody, like somebody that sells life insurance, like, hey, do a story on me. I don't know if that will work versus and nothing against life insurance. I'm just saying, it has to be a pretty engaging story that the media will be interested in and grab a hold of. So like I said earlier, every client is different. So this one in particular, I'm just kind of thinking outside of the box, like what we can do. And what I love about it is I'm thinking about it, but I'm also bringing my team in. So we're all collaborating together. And once we get that creative back from her too, that will be helpful. So it's
so you're thinking that paid ads might not even be the avenue. It might be better time spent getting earned media and getting in the news, which is always great time spent, and maybe get people paying attention to you. And now you kind of beef up your Facebook. You're getting more likes because you're in the news and people care about what you're posting now. Before, why would they care about your ad that they're seeing? They don't even know who you are, like you, or trust you.
Yeah.
So it might not make any sense. Or just the creative is terrible, and the copy is terrible. That's usually what it is. The whole ad is just garbage, and you don't even want to pick it apart. We're just going to start from scratch on this one.
Exactly.
I don't even want to talk about that one. There's a lot of reasons that didn't work, but so other than asking, so I heard budget, I heard you want to know what their goals are both short and long term. You're asking them what has worked and what hasn't worked.
Also, like the demographic, who are you trying to target? Because if you're going to as you know, the more people that see your ads, the more money it costs. So if you can get more niche and say, okay, my target is men 18 to 40, and then tell me what their interests are. They like to play sports, they like to gamble, they like to do this, they like to do that. Then you're weeding out the people that aren't the ideal client, so knowing the demographic, knowing the location. I get a lot of people who are like, I want to advertise and I want to advertise to the entire United States. Well, do you know how much money that's going to cost? Can you just give me a couple zip codes to start based on your budget? You got the budget to advertise the entire United States. We can help you, but I don't think they realize what that costs, So narrowing it down to where are the majority of your clients coming from? What areas do you like working with? Are there areas you want to tap into that you're not tapping into right now? Those are some other questions that I typically ask in the consultation. But it's a lot of questions. I ask a lot of questions. I learn about the client and they ask me a lot of questions. And then typically one of two things happen at the end. They either decide, yes, I'd like to move forward. I'd like to see a marketing plan with you, or a branding or PR. It really depends on the client. Or maybe we're not a good fit. And I'm totally comfortable hearing that because, as you know, there's so many marketing firms out there. There's so many choices. A lot of times I'll say, hey, you might want to reach out to this person for that, even though it's a service that we offer. So, there's so much business to go around. I'm not too concerned about it if it doesn't work out.
So that's a good segue into, okay, so you've met with the client and you asked them all these questions. And if people are doing it themselves, they should be asking them these questions and kind of writing it down for themselves to get their own plan together. But after you have all the information you need, and I think the target and the target audience is a big one for everybody to pinpoint.
Absolutely.
And by asking these questions, you've found a bunch of holes. I mean, in budget, oh, we don't have one. Goals, we don't have. A lot of times we don't have.
Yeah.
And then how about in that case, if people just, I don't even know. The thing you get a lot is, I don't have a budget. I don't know how much I should be spending or I need to spend. Well, that's not how. Unpack that a little bit when people don't have answers to any of these questions.
Yeah, I ran across a report from the Small Business Bureau that said a good rule of thumb is to invest 7 to 8% of your gross sales. So I personally can't invest that much, so I invest about 2 to 3%. But when I give that number to them, that kind of gives them a good rule of thumb. And some people look at that number, they're like, wait, that's way too high. It's like, okay, well, what are you comfortable with? And like I said, I can only afford 2 to 3% because I'm investing in college funds for my kids and, paying off some credit card for Vast and all this other stuff that I can't put the whole 7 to 8% in there, And you mentioned budget. I used to ask that question last. And when I took the Sandler training in the fall of 2020, I learned what happens is I would do a full hour consultation, get to budget, and they'd be like, yeah, I have $100 a month. Because these are people that just find us online. Well, you can't really do much with $100 a month. So it's like, I didn't need to go into all that. What marketing are you doing now? What's working, what's not working, all that stuff. So I'm learning to ask that question up front. do you have a budget in mind? Usually probably the fourth or fifth question is budget. And if they say I have $100 a month, I'm not going to say, that's it, it's over, we can't work together. But maybe I suggest that they hire me 1 hour a month for training on what they should be doing on their own to increase their business. And as their business grows and they can put some money aside, then we can revisit branding, marketing, sales training, whatever. So that's what I like about having my own business too, because back when I sold radio, if a client had $100 a month, there really wasn't much we could do. We could sell some ads on the ticket. It was a sports station, 1460 AM, but if that's not your demo, then I'm not going to pitch it to you, So.
Yeah, $100 with the right person every month can do a lot. If you're taking notes for that hour, half hour, however long you get that person for, and you're actually taking action, that could get you a long way. Obviously, you want to get to a point where you can pay somebody else to do it for you, hopefully, but paying somebody to coach you or consult or whatever is a great way to start and to get some knowledge and get some things off the ground that that was my next question, actually. What are some of so you talk to them a little bit and you go back and you do your proposal. And I'm guessing part of that proposal is setting up before you do your marketing. You want everything to kind of look pretty and be set up so that when you attract this attention and they go to look at you, you don't look like a fool. So what are some of those online properties or what do you like to try to put in place? What's in most proposals as far as like a Facebook business page, yada, yada?
Yeah. It's surprising to me how many people do not have a Google My Business page. So that's something.
Preach. Well, don't
right?
preach. Don't tell the other realtors.
Don't tell anyone. So that's something I look for right away. Like, you need to get that set up as soon as you can, reach out to people, ask for reviews, because you think about when we're purchasing for something or we're looking for something. Like the other day, I'm planning a memorial service for my Nana in North Carolina, and I have the whole Paloozac side of the family coming, and it's next weekend. And I'm looking for a caterer for the event. So I just Googled caterer in Statesville, North Carolina. Well, one has 5-star reviews and like probably 42 different 5-star reviews. All the others have none, or they don't have a Google My Business page. I didn't even bother calling the other people because I don't have the time to go back and forth with all these different caterers. It's like, I'm going to go with the one that has their business set up properly, that has their Google My Business page, that has the reviews. So that's the first thing. Obviously, social media. And then I go back and I look and see when they posted last. Like, some business owners haven't posted since November of 2020. So you have to engage. If you don't have time to post, even just doing it once or twice a week to keep that engagement. Because if you do it once a year, you're not going to get a following. People aren't going to think of top of mind awareness for you. You're not building your brand. So that, obviously, checking their website, making sure that's up to date. If all those things are in place, a lot of times it's what the client needs. We're working with a dialysis center right now in Harrisburg that's opening up in the fall. So they're going to need public relations. They're going to need event planning. They're going to need marketing. They're going to need branding. They need everything. So a project like that, I pull my media buyer in who has relationships with every media outlet in central Pennsylvania, and we work together on that campaign. Some of the smaller clients that may have a budget of $1,000 or less, I just work direct with them and try to look at, if it were me, what would I be doing with this budget if it were my business? Like, for me personally, I pay Bitsy to update my website. I pay her to post on social media. I have a lot of changes to my website because we're always adding new things. So that alone is a pretty big investment. So I don't have the funds right now to invest in a strategic marketing plan like digital, Facebook, radio, TV, billboard, that type of thing. But I think in the fall, I probably will do some public relations and hire someone to do that for me. So
and you are doing the essentials, which is, you don't have to, most people think they have to kill themselves to be on Facebook and be an influencer, or on Instagram and have 1 million followers and all that. But as a business, you don't really, that's not really what you have to do. If you're good at it and somebody is in it, you need somebody that is invested in it, in the company, that's going to take that on and make that happen. If not, you need to be still posting and being active and everything, but it's more, you don't have to kill yourself. It could be 1 or 2 posts a week even. It's just so that when somebody, like you said, Google's, what was it? Caterers near me.
Yeah.
if there are a couple, the one has more stars, and then when they go to check out their Facebook and Instagram to make sure they exist and are current and actually still doing jobs, that there is a recent, as long as your post is within like a week, and then the next one is within a few days. If I go there and it's 2 months ago, and then the one before that was 3 months before that, well, I don't want to deal with this business probably. So it does make a big difference. So you mentioned Facebook business page, Google My Business, which I will put a big old star next to that one as well. And I did an episode on it last week, and I talk about it all the time. Spend a lot of time on that, you guys. Facebook, Instagram, Google My Business, and website. Would you start with the website, you think? Because again, you're kind of starting with where everything is pointing to.
Yeah, I mean, everything points to the website. So I would suggest starting with the website. And then if your sales staff needs proper training, or if you are the sales staff and let's say you run a garage, well, most people that run a garage aren't salespeople, right? They know they're a mechanic, or they know their business. So if they're acting as the salesperson too, they may, before they do any advertising, may want to hone in on their sales skills as well. So, but yeah, website, social media, Google My Business, even just getting out there and networking, that alone gets so much business. You never know who you're going to meet. I met somebody at a NAWIC event, and it's National Association for Women in Construction. I'm not in construction, but I was invited to an event.
Was my ex-wife there?
I don't know. What's her name?
She's in commercial roofing. Katie Bixler. You know the last name if you met her.
Oh,
Katie.
yeah. I don't think she's
all
there.
Up in that kind of stuff.
Yeah. But I got a referral to a company in York that's another media firm. And here that media firm doesn't do web design, did a one-on-one with the media firm. And then they ended up referring me to Pensy Supply, who needed a new website. So now we're doing Pensy Supply's website, which I would have never got if I didn't go to that event in Lancaster. And I remember that day being like, oh, do I really want to drive to Lancaster for this event? Because it's like an hour and 10 minutes away, But it was worth it.
The in-person stuff, man. The in-person stuff is the best. And even if you don't get it that time, over and over again, you'll be familiar with these people, and it makes a huge impact. You saw the question I brought up here while we're still talking about, I usually miss these, but we're kind of still talking about it. And if this Facebook user, we don't know who it is still watching, is Google My Business a good choice, even if I don't have a physical address?
Absolutely.
I'll let you answer that.
Yes. Well, as you can see, I'm working from my home, and I don't put that on Google, but I have a Google My Business page. So that is absolutely a good choice to have. Would you agree, Derek?
1 billion cajillion %. That's where people are looking for what you offer. They're not going to Facebook and typing in caterer near me. They're going to Google and typing in caterer near me. So you need to come up on there. It's the yellow pages. Is frankly, if you're not there, you just won't even be considered for the most part. And on the physical address thing, I think on the mechanical side of it, you can turn the address off. So when the listing comes up, I think you can turn it off so the address doesn't show, or it at least doesn't show the street. It might say like Bethlehem, PA or something, but it won't have the street address a lot of times. Yeah. So if you're worried about working out of the house and that kind of thing, which is, I'm guessing what this person is probably talking about, I would say create that Google My Business and just hide that if you can. So where were we? I was going to ask, so on websites, I know you did the website for Shady McGrady's recently, which is awesome and fits their personality perfectly. And that was a great, if anybody wants to see it, go to, is it shadymcgradys.com?
Well, he didn't purchase the domain right away, so I think it's shadymcgradyshbg.com.
Okay.
Yeah.
He needs to get on that. I think when I was talking to him, I saw that it was available, and I was like, you need to buy this. You need to buy this.
I told him, I'm like, you need to buy this. But
I'm just going to start buying them myself when I talk to people, because they never do it.
And it's not really expensive, you know.
It's like $8 or something. Yeah, totally.
Exactly.
So check it out. It is a great example of they didn't have a ton to put into it, but they wanted to refresh the website before they started doing other social media stuff. And it hits who they are perfectly. I wish I could bring it up, but I'm not going to spend the time to set it up. So tell us a little bit about a website and like an entry level to something more expensive, more complicated, and why you would need the two different ones.
Yeah. I think just having an online presence is so important. So even customers that do not have money for a website, I suggest getting the Google My Business page set up. And through Google, you can actually have a website. It's not going to look like amazing, but at least there's some kind of presence. But we have clients that have a very small budget, and we just design one page for them. And we tell them, look, when you're ready, we can add another page to it. So that was Shady McGrady's, for example. And I appreciate that referral from you, Derek. And what's interesting about him, I'm like, hey, tell me about your place. I was just trying to get content for the website. I'm like, tell me about your food. He's like, we have pizza. It sucks. I'm like, all right, cool. I'm like, what's your phone number? Don't want to list it. Okay. Like, I'm going through it. So I just sent all my notes to Bitsy. And if you look at the website, it says $5 pizza. It's real gross. Like, it's just so honest. And people are really relating to it. He called the other week and he's like, Tammy, there's a lot of people that are talking about our website. They really love it, but it is so him. If you meet the guy, like, it's him, and it's important to really showcase your personality through it. But we do really small websites for clients. And that's what I love about it. We don't really turn people away, And then Chad, for example, we did a 37-page website for Managing Partners Insurance out of Lemoyne, and we just won award, I think second place in the entire world, won the award for that website. So Chad can really do some great animation, some great graphics. We're doing the website for Serenity Blue for a dialysis center. We're doing one for Refresh LED, which is local in Mechanicsburg. And I love that I have both Bitsy and Chad, because if I have a client that wants a website but doesn't have a huge budget for it, I can refer them to Bitsy, and she does an amazing job. Either way, you're going to get amazing work. And Bitsy does some really big websites too. She's the one that's going to be doing Pensy Supply for us.
That's awesome. And I've seen work of both, and Bitsy did the Shady McGrady's. They both do
Shady
awesome.
McGrady's.
I mean, for the price she did that for and how it looks and how it matters, when you sent it to me, I was like, I'm so glad I sent them to you guys, and I'm not just blowing smoke up here. It really is cool, and so him. As soon as you know him, you're like, oh, that's exactly it. And all the people that go there, it matches them. Not to say, but it is good. It's really, really great.
Yeah.
So what changes? I got to move on, but I like talking about websites. What changes the cost of a website? Is it just the number of pages, or do other things play into it? Images, creative needed? Mm-hmm. What else goes into it?
Yeah, like if you supply the content on your own, that's going to shave off some money. If you have all of your photos, the more pages we have to design, the more it's going to cost. It's all based on time. So however much time it takes us to design the website, and we can give you an estimate of what we think it will take. If a standard website is going to be affordable, a 5-page website. But if you're like, now I need like 16, 20 pages, you're looking at a little bit more money. And I tell people, listen, we can always grow it. Like I have a client right now that can only afford a 3-page web design. So on the home page, we're also going to have the about section, but eventually when she can afford it and she wants to add another page, we'll have an about us on a separate tab, and that's fine. So
yeah, that's easy to do, to have your, like, Shady McGrady. I keep going back to that. That's the one I know. So, but you got this awesome homepage, and then if you wanted to run an ad for burger spell, I don't know, whatever, then you create a page real quick, and the shell is created, and everything's already there sitting, waiting to go, and it makes it a lot quicker and easier to grow it. So you're helping people
if he wants to have entertainment or something, we can add an entertainment page down the road. But so you can always add to it.
And some businesses, it's better to keep it simple. I mean, like a place like a bar, you don't need much. You need a place where people can go and find all your socials, maybe an about page, maybe a nice Facebook pixel to make sure you can talk to those people later, maybe sign up for your email or something on there. But the website is super important because, like you said, like I said, everything that you're going to do from here on out is always pointing back to that. Go to blah, blah, blah.com to blah, blah, blah.com. Your Facebook page points back to blah, blah, blah.com and all those things. And it sounds like you guys can help with all that stuff. So you meet with people, you talk to them, you qualify them, you ask them questions, make sure you're a fit to work together, obviously. Then you go back and come back with a comprehensive proposal of what you think would help them probably both now and in the future. And maybe there are some, pick and choose kind of things going on. And then you can help them build all these systems out and even post, then it sounds like, for them on an ongoing basis if they need, and coaching and consulting and ongoing ads, platform management, yada, yada. So that is kind of all the physical stuff. I'll kind of well, no, that's the digital stuff. So how does the new sales training come into play? So you've constructed all this and you got into it a little bit at the beginning where you said, people come to me and they come to me too. Let's run some Facebook ads. Well, all right, if they're clicking on something, where are they going? Oh, well, I haven't thought about that. I don't have an offer, yada, yada. I have no sales cycle. I mean, the whole purpose of advertising and marketing is to get them into whatever the entry is into your sales cycle, whether it's a call or a discovery meeting or a free quote or an estimate or whatever the case is. So talk a little bit about your sales training that you're developing now.
Yeah, sounds great. When I worked at iHeartMedia, I went to management and I said, listen, we have a really high turnover with radio reps, and I would like to train them, because they had a Clear Channel University. It's now iHeart, but it wasn't realistic, right? So not to bash them or anything, but I said I would like to train them, and then I would like to earn a commission on their sales. They're like, all right. So we negotiated commission, and it was all here. I didn't have like an agenda book, but I created one over the years, and it increased sales, and it decreased the turnover. And I brought reps with me on appointments. I showed them how to do a presentation. I showed them how to like not throw up all over the place, because most salespeople are like, let me tell you how I can help you. And they don't even learn if they even need the service or not, So I already had that desire with Vast Strategies, but like I said, I didn't have like the physical program, you know what I mean? And I took Sandler sales training in November of 2020. And I went into it thinking, I'm not sure exactly what I'll learn from it, because I took a lot of sales training courses over the years, but the techniques and the systems that they teach you, it has increased my business 65%. And I wish I had time to run numbers, because it may be even more than that. But last I checked, it was 65%. So I reached out to them and I said, hey, I would love to partner with you somehow. I'd like to offer sales training. I believe in your product. I believe in your service. It's a great company. They're right out of York, Pennsylvania. And it turns out that Kate Kohler, who's the owner of Staub and Associates, the Sandler trainer, her dad retired after 31 years. And her sister-in-law was another trainer and sales rep, and she decided to do missionary work in the summer. So Kate was really stressing, because she has this whole training set up for the entire year, and it's just her, And the day I called her, she was going on vacation that next day, and just to really regroup and think about what she's going to do. And I call and I'm like, hey, Kate, it's Tammy. Do you have a sec? And she goes, girl, you have no idea. This is seriously an answer to prayer. Like, I was going on vacation to just wallow in, like, what am I going to do? So it's taking some time, because I run Vast Strategies. I would love to eventually do my own training, and she's giving me the opportunity on July 20th to do a post-sale for the sales mastery course. And then I'm actually on August 19th, I'm doing sales training for realtors with Rebecca Foote. So I'll have to send you that information. And we're going to talk about the upfront
she does those webinars all the time.
Yeah, she does those lunch and learns. So we're going to be discussing upfront contracts and how important it is to stay in touch with your customers after the sale. But I feel like it's just such a great partnership, because there's definitely a void. When you do digital strategies, I can listen to the phone calls that are coming in. And a lot of times I go to the owners and I say, hey, Derek, this call came in, let's listen to it together. And then they look like baffled. And I'm like, this should have been handled a little differently. You don't even have to say anything.
Let's just, hopefully they come to the same conclusion as me, that this person, after a while, you're like, man, a couple of these people just,
yeah,
you don't want to say it, or they just need to be trained, one or the other. If it's ongoing, it needs to change. But,
and they're just missing opportunity to grow, because they're not handling certain things correctly. And anyway, I just realized that it would be a good opportunity to partner with Sandler. So I'm really excited about the opportunity. I do feel that it's such an integral piece of the puzzle, though. Like we both said, if you're spending thousands of dollars in marketing, but your salespeople aren't closing the deal, or the customer service isn't there, or they're not building the relationship after the sale. Because here's the thing, whoever your biggest client is, your competitors, that's on their prospect list. So if you're not taking care of them and you're not on top of it and making sure that they feel like really important to you, they're going to jump ship really quick. Versus if you're in touch with them constantly, making sure they're happy, making sure that they're happy with your team, making sure that they're achieving their goals, updating the creative, all that stuff, then when somebody else comes back and they're going to be like, no, I'm in good hands,
Yeah,
So.
completely. Because all the digital stuff and the marketing and everything, the whole goal is to get a conversation in person, usually, unless you're selling t-shirts online or something. All of that stuff is to get an in-person meeting. And then if you can't do that, what's the point of all the rest of it? That's why I don't understand when other realtors don't do open houses. It's people walking in face to face right there. They're like, I'm too good for open houses, or I don't, whatever. I'll do this all day, every day if I could. We're going out of time, so we're going to do a random question really quick before we go out.
Okay.
And then we'll give everybody your information to reach out to you, and they can find all your services and everything. We talked about most of them, but so 1 to 81, pick a number between 1 and 81.
35.
35. All right. What sound would be the scariest if you could hear it? What sound would be the scariest if you could hear it? What sound would be the scariest if you could hear it?
I think it would be the devil. If you could actually hear the devil talk to you, like verbalize it, that would be kind of freaky.
You understood the question at least. It's a sound. So shouldn't it say what sound would be the scariest if you could see it? Or all right, that's the dumb one. There are some dumb ones on here. So we had a dumb one today.
Another number?
We can't. We only got 4 minutes left. And we got to tell everybody where to find you. So as quick as you possibly can, say it out loud where people can find you, all that stuff you see up on the screen there.
Okay. Vaststrategies.com. Tammy at vaststrategies.com is my email address. And my number is 717-579-3878.
And you got a special offer. Tell everybody that.
Yes, I have a special offer. If you do feel like you're lacking with your sales skills, I am willing to offer a free 1-hour sales training with you. So feel free to shoot me an email, give me a buzz, visit our website, and we can get that scheduled.
And it does look like we have a couple minutes left, and we don't really have anything except for me saying goodbye. So we'll do one more. 1 to 81. Pick a number.
Okay, 1 to 81. Let's see. 21.
21. If you could be in any movie, what would it be? If you could be in any movie, what would it be? That's better.
Wow, that's a good one.
I'd be Superman, or that's an easy pick maybe. Or a comedy, something with Will Ferrell. Any of my dinners with 5 people, it would all be comedy people, and Will Smith would be there because he's a rapper and comedy. There'd be a lot of comedy.
Yeah, that's a really good question. If I could be in any movie, what would it be? Oh, man. I mean, my favorite movie is like Forrest Gump, but I don't know what character I would want to be. You know what I mean?
That's a good movie to pick, though, because there's
like something like that is just so good. When I was in high school, I actually did. I had to write a story, and I did a story that Forrest Gump met Rain Man, met Mary Poppins, met Sling Blade in an insane asylum, and I acted out each character. It was like so much fun. I was going to combine all those movies.
I'd like to hear, if we had more time, maybe next time we're going to hear your Sling Blade, because
yeah, I reckon I like that idea.
That's a good one. I haven't watched that in a while. I might have to. All right, so everybody hit up Tammy, and we have about a minute here, so I'll slow down a little bit, but I'm going to leave the offer scrolling there, and I'm going to leave up all your stuff for a little bit here. If you're interested in doing an episode with me, reach out to me. I'm always happy to do one. If you want our special offer to join our email list at supportcentralpa.com. It's 1 email a week-ish. Right now, we just actually went over the threshold, which is a good thing, to the now I have to pay for MailChimp. So I'm trying to put that off till we monetize one of the things or something, or I'll just probably end up sponsoring it and sending the email. So probably next week, I will sponsor our MailChimp, and we will start sending the emails again. Join our Facebook group. If you're watching on LinkedIn or YouTube or Instagram or anywhere other than Facebook, head over to Facebook and join our group. Central PA supports small business. Lots of good stuff happening in there. Good place to get your business known and to find a good business to use. If you need a plumber, what's a good plumber, whatever, you can always depend on the answers in there. And I think that's where Tammy and I met about a year ago, probably.
Absolutely.
So, and awesome connections. So good stuff happening in there. Again, I'm a realtor. If you need to buy or sell a home, please reach out to me. I'd love to work with you. Text me, email me, throw a rock through my window, send a carrier pigeon, whatever you need to do. We need inventory, but it's also dying down a little bit for buyers. So don't be scared to get out there and look for a home. Remember to support Central PA's small businesses like Tammy and Vast Strategies. Thanks for watching and listening. And we got 40 seconds. So say goodbye at your leisure.
Thank you guys so much. And thanks to the people that formed Central PA Support Small Business. Were you part of that, Derek?
Greg Drake founded it, and then pretty quickly, Christy and I jumped on to get in the mix. Yeah.
So kudos to you guys. I've gotten so much business and have developed so many relationships through this group and referred a lot of business. And I just want to thank you guys for coming up with that idea. Thank you, Greg Drake. Thank you, Derek, and thank you, Christy Hoffman.
Thanks. And I'm clicking end right now because we're 1 second away. See ya.
See ya.